Hello, I'm Laura Ingle, and you're in the strategy room. All right, Senator Ted Cruz picked up all 14 of Wyoming's delegates over the weekend, drawing the ire of GOP rival Donald Trump, who has repeatedly slammed the Republican nomination process as rigged. Meanwhile, fights are flaring up among GOP officials over proposed rule changes for what is shaping up to be a contested convention in July. RNC Chairman Rice Priebus is seeking to delay any rule changes for the time being, but party officials are scheduled to meet next week in Florida. Joining me now to discuss this are Democratic strategist Basil Smikle Jr. and Republican strategist Brian Morgenstern. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
All right, let's start with this dust-up between the RNC Committee Chairman Bruce Ashe and other GOP officials. The Associated Press obtained an email from Ashe that harshly criticized other GOP officials for potentially leaving the door open for a new candidate, someone other than Trump or Cruz or Kasich, to secure the party's nomination. So let's talk about, what do you think about that?
I think, and I've been saying this a long time, voters go to the polls to pick president of the United States. The rules, all of this, they don't really pay attention to the minutia. And as soon as they get a whiff that someone's trying to change the rules in the middle of the game, I think you'll see a revolt, whether you like Donald Trump or not. To me, he's brought out all these voters that would not have come out normally. So the question is, what do you do to make sure that their votes count and that their voices are heard? I think we're seeing something similar on the Democratic side. But on the Republican side, I do wonder what impact all of these meetings will have on the electorate.
All right, what do you think?
I think that this is indicative of something that Trump has done this cycle, which is in the wake of a series of losses because he wasn't paying attention to the nitty-gritty in the rules. He's adopted this strategy used by many presidents to put pressure on Congress, which is to go to the people and and make your case that something is unfair and we have to fix this, therefore shining a light and putting all the pressure on these delegates, on these Rules Committee members, and so therefore making lemonade out of lemons, basically,
right.
With a PR strategy. And so that's what's putting all this pressure on these guys to keep the rules as they are, which Trump views as favorable to him.
Right, and Priebus over the weekend has said changing the rules now, not a good idea. They don't want to get into it right now. Will it change, what's going to happen at this meeting in the spring?
I don't know. I mean, going to your point, I think Donald Trump trying to put pressure on not having paid attention to the rules early on, trying to put pressure on anybody that's listening really to try to find a path to victory. I don't know if it works. I do know that from a Democratic point of view, we love to see this.
Right.
We love to see this. But truthfully, if you look at it just again from a pure sort of political science standpoint, and if you're concerned about political participation, I think Trump is concerned about just small d democratizing the process, and we'll see if he's victorious at the end.
And Brian, what do you think?
I think that, as I said, this is shining a light on these committee members to do everything on the up and up. Just this one email leak is a preview of the kind of scrutiny that is to come, and so by doing that, I think he is putting whatever public pressure he can on these process makers to make sure that his voters' voices are heard. And so far, that kind of pressure is ramping up and it's working to his advantage. But they have to make the rules.
Right.
The convention's got to be governed by rules. Every convention is. This is no different than any other process. So the process is going to happen. It's just a matter of what the outcome is in terms of who's eligible to be the nominee.
And let's just pretend for a minute, if you could, Brian, what would the changes be that you would make? If you were in charge, you could change the rules. What would they be?
If I were in charge, I think it would be a convention where the delegates had more freedom to vote, but because this is all going to be nationally televised, there can't be any smoke-filled rooms. But if it is a transparent floor fight where everybody, including Trump and including Cruz, has the chance to make their case to the delegates, I think that is going to make for the most interesting convention, the most transparent nominating process, even though it'll be truncated into a few days, and I think it'll be the most entertaining and the most engaging for the voters.
Right, and if you could change any of the rules?
Well, no, actually I would agree with that, but one of the things that I think would be really interesting to see is, who pulls out, and what deals are made for the pullout. In other words, what is if Trump looks like he's going to lose on the first ballot, if you still have first ballot voting, and Trump doesn't make that first ballot, you know, how does he come out of the race?
Right.
What is he going to say to Cruz or to Kasich and say, yes, I'll give you my delegates if you do X, Y, and Z? I'm very curious to see what that is because of the kind of candidate that he's been and how either Cruz or Kasich sort of take up that mantle and run with it as a Trump supported candidate. That's actually really curious to me.
All right. Well, Basil, Brian, thank you very much for your perspective. Always a pleasure. One thing we know, it's going to be very interesting, as it continues to be. For complete coverage on the 2016 election, you want to go to foxnews.com. You're here. I'm Laura Engel. Thanks for watching.